How's the winter treating you so far? What winter? I haven't seen 30-something temperature in about 4 or 5 weeks. So I enjoyed this weather today. And so far, I learned 2 things about myself this winter. First one, I was reminded that I'm human and that I'm an ordinary human being. What I mean by that? In the city of Chicago, we have such thing as dips. If you shovel your own spot in front of your house, you call dips, right? You put your chair out there, a folding chair usually. You bring your kid racing car, you put it there. You can bring your bucket. The latest that I saw was a bucket and a Swiffer. It takes enough space to block your spot. Well, after about 45 minutes of shoveling, I parked my car there. Next day I called dips. I put my bucket there. And when I came back from work, somebody took my spot. I cursed, of course, in Polish. And I reminded myself that I am a human being because I got so mad. I got really pissed off. The neighbors that I usually say good morning and hello and how you doing, I wasn't that nice anymore. I was very ordinary in my behavior. The second thing I learned about myself as well is when we got shut down and we couldn't go anywhere, literally nowhere, in 2 days, I was thinking about those people who stay at home because they are homebound. I was thinking about people who are sick and who are alone. Maybe they are depressed. Those who are not as mobile as I am. I jump out of the house, I jump in my 4x4, and I go anywhere I want. So I was thinking about those people who cannot do that. About those people who are so far, far away from us because they live in their houses and they can't get anywhere or go anywhere. And I think in today's gospel, Matthew is writing about Jesus going to this far, far away land. Jesus only goes from Jerusalem to the land of Zebulun and Naphtali. They're about 70 miles away. So it's not really far. Today it would take me probably 57 minutes to get there. Some of you might take an hour and 20, but it's only 70 miles. In the times of Jesus, it was probably 3 or 4 days of walking, so it wasn't that far. But Matthew points out that people from Jerusalem saw the land of Galilee as a far, far away land, as if they were different human beings living there, because they were not the people from Jerusalem. Maybe they spoke different language, maybe they had a different accent, maybe they were just different color, but that's what Matthew is describing in his gospel. Jesus goes. He goes because John is being jailed, so Jesus simply goes and fills in. John is already doing his ministry over there, so Jesus, as an ordinary prophet, ordinary man and human being who cares for others, he goes to his own homeland. Because if you know, Galilee is his homeland. So he goes to his friends, people maybe that he grew up with, he played with. Now he goes and he ministers. Well, Matthew says he goes and cures them from all the sicknesses. Maybe he brings hope. Maybe he touches their lives. Maybe he's open to hear their stories. Maybe he's feeding them. Whatever it is that he's doing, he's going to the people that no one else is willing to go. He's very ordinary in what he's doing. There's no much splendor. Matthew doesn't give much splendor there. He describes, that he goes to call the brothers, one set of brothers, then another set of brothers. He goes and starts the ministry within his own family. He starts the ministry within his own people. He's very ordinary. He's as ordinary as Martin Luther King that we celebrated on Monday. He was a very simple man course, we call him Dr. Martin Luther King, but if we call him Martin, I think he wouldn't mind. He was a very simple man. What I learned about him from one of the sermons that I attended in the city of Chicago was that he was so ordinary that when he was assassinated, his wife didn't even have money for the casket. So he was an ordinary man fighting for the rights of others, not necessarily people of color, but poor people, those who needed help. He was very ordinary. When I think of ordinary people, my great-grandfather comes to my mind. I still remember as a little boy going and visiting my great-grandfather. At his years before he died, he couldn't see well. And since I learned to read when I was 5, I would go to him and I would read newspapers to him, daily news. And I would, of course, make money out of it. But I would read the news to him. He was a very simple man. I would come, he would sit next to me, I would read to him. He wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't say a word. He died in about 89, 90. And then the story of him was revealed to us. He wasn't as ordinary as I thought he was. He was born in what today is the Ukraine, in a Polish town where there was about 12,000 people. Half of them were Polish, and the other half were Jewish and Ukrainian. So it was a very mixed town, just like the land of Naphtali and Zebulun, a very mixed town. What happened was my great-grandfather worked for the electric plant. He was a master electrician, master engineer, so he ran the whole electricity for the whole town. And when the war came, since he was the only master electrician there, he was allowed to stay in the city and work for the Nazis. He was Polish, married to an Austrian girl, working for the Nazis. And one day, his friend, a Jewish friend, Aris Schwanebes, knocked on the door and said, "I have to hide. I have no place to go, I have to hide." So my great-grandfather didn't think anything of that, said, "Sure, I'm going to hide you in my electric plant. It's so big that nobody's ever going to find you here." And he was right. So he hid Aris for a few years, and then when Nazis left and Russians came in, Aris was freed. My great-grandpa didn't think anything of that. It was so ordinary to him. He was supposed to help another human being. He didn't call himself a hero. He died not telling anybody about it until my grandfather, his son, decided to write about it in the book. Then the story was revealed, and we saw him as a very heroic and not so ordinary person. If you've read a diary of Anne Frank, you're familiar with the stories of hiding Jews. You're familiar with the story of the Dutch Jewish family that was hidden in the attic. Miep Gies, the lady who survived it and who hid those 8 Jews, once was told by somebody that she is a hero. And she said, "No, I am not a hero. We are all ordinary people. Ordinary secretaries, ordinary teachers, ordinary teenagers. But if we can within our own small world, turn on a small little light in a dark room. Being ordinary to turn on a small light in a dark room." She was right. We are ordinary people. Ordinary priests, deacons, grandparents, parents, husbands, wives, partners, grandchildren, children, military wives. We are so ordinary. We are human. We were reminded in the beginning of the Mass that we are so ordinary human that we sin and then we are forgiven. But we are very ordinary people. There's nothing heroic in what we are doing. Maybe not nothing heroic in what we are doing, but when we do something, we don't see ourselves as heroes. I saw somebody bring in a can of food today. I saw somebody bring a can of food yesterday to donate to those who don't have it. We don't think it's a heroic thing, but to those people who will receive it, they would appreciate it. We participate in a Susan G. Komen walk. We don't see it as anything heroic. It's an ordinary thing to do to support those who need our support. When we walk in the Pride Parade, we support those who are seen by many that in a far, far away land that people are not willing to reach out to. So things that we do are very ordinary, but maybe later on they will be seen as a heroic. In this parish, what we do seems to be very ordinary. Yesterday, we had a chance to visit a parish of St. Clair St. Francis. We were reminded about 4 or 5 times they see St. Stanislaus as heroes. But we think of ourselves as ordinary people. We are doing what we are called to do. As ordinary as Jesus was, as Martin Luther King, or even my great-grandfather. In this place, or from this place, I want to thank you for your ministry and for your ministering to others. Our ministry is so ordinary that we are not required to go and travel to faraway lands. We don't have to cross Missouri River that way. I know some of you cross this way to come over here. But we're not telling you to go out there, go far, far away, and do God knows what. We don't even tell you to cross the town to do the ministry, or cross the street. How about we start from this family? How about we turn around and look at each other, who is behind me, say good morning, say how you doing? How about we open not only these beautiful red doors to others, but how about we open our hearts to others, saying, I am interested in you, and I am interested in your story. I am available, willing to minister to you in any way that I can. Even though I am very ordinary. I'm very ordinary, but I believe in you, that you have a light that can bring a light to the small rooms. Small rooms meaning other people's lives. Other people overshadowed by being homebound, being sick, being lonely, being forgotten, being depressed, whatever it is, you name it. You probably know more people than I do. You know more stories than I do because some of you are older than me. So you have more experience. You know what I'm talking about. Being available, being open, and being willing to minister to others. So thank you for being a part of this community, and thank you for ministering to each other in any ordinary way you think you might.